Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of our EAFC 24 Summer Career Mode here with Crystal Palace. We're returning today with part 2 of Sloggy Season, which is going to see us play through the second half of our Champions League group stage, where we're of course looking to make it to the knockouts in our first time in the competition. We'll have more big games in the Premier League and also our Carabao Cup quarter-final, which before jumping into our first game against Wolfsburg away in Germany, I've got a little bit of explaining to do. So we will jump into our clash against Wolfsburg in a moment's time, and as you can see the group is really tight at the moment, so a big game on match day 4. But just looking at the Carabao Cup, you would have seen in the previous episode, if you watched that we got drawn against Manchester City. And now you'll see that we're drawn away at Goodison Park to take on Everton. Now the reason this has changed, this isn't me trying to cheat the system or whatever. Effectively, my game crashed as I was going into the final game of last episode. And the game actually auto-saved before that fixture against Brighton at the Amex. Now, the Carabao Cup draw fell between the end of the previous game, where it auto-saved, and the beginning of that Brighton game. So when I simmed through, it redid the draw for the Carabao Cup, and we got drawn against Everton. I did try to back in and out a few times to try and get Man City again, but it was just taking too long. The results were different, and I couldn't get Man City in the draw. So we're away against Everton in the quarterfinals rather than Manchester City. So just a little bit of explaining before we jump into our first game of the season. It is Wolfsburg away in Germany. They currently sit bottom of the group with no points, but for Crystal Palace, still very, very tight at the top of the group as we look to qualify for the knockouts. A big game here away in Germany. Come on, you Eagles. Well, just approaching the hour mark, still deadlocked at 0-0, and it's a very similar game to what we saw in South London in the reverse fixture, where both sides are sort of cancelling each other out. But here's the man that won it in South London, and this time he's denied by Oliver Baumann. Now Palace will look to break. Milan sends it down the line to Whittaker, fresh off the bench, looking to beat the defender who's been dragged out of the centre. Brilliant from Morgan Whittaker, and just ran into trouble. Gets a foot on it as we'll keep it alive. Daichi, Kamada, let's fly, and Oliver Baumann is equal to it. Wolfsburg looking to hold on to their first point of the group stage, and that's exactly what Wolfsburg are going to do. Don't see many 0-0 draws in FC 24, but we've had one here. Neither side could be separated, and I'd say we probably had the better of the chances. Wolfsburg didn't really threaten us too much, but they do hold on to claim their first point of the group. It's going to blow things wide open depending on the result in the other fixture. So we'll go and take a look at how that leaves the group. Well, with Barcelona beating Slavia Prague in a 5-goal thriller, it really does throw the group wide open. We face Barca away in Catalonia next, before hosting Slavia Prague in what could be a shootout for qualification to the knockouts. Jumping into our next game, we see Wilfried Zaha go down with a cursed broken toe. He'll be down for 3 months until around February, and will miss the busy Christmas period. But we host Manchester United at Selhurst Park. Tough game, but it's been a pretty tough start for United themselves. Currently sat in 8th place in the league with just 4 wins in their opening 11 games. We still remain unbeaten with the best defence in the league and looking to continue that unbeaten run. Come on, you Eagles. Too late. Over the top. Kadioglu in behind. Brilliant from Kadioglu. Oh, what a start from Crystal Palace. Fantastic ball over the top by Matthias Sule, right into the path of Ferdi Kadioglu. And he just went on a run by himself. Mazy run in and out of the defenders. And then on the weaker left foot, absolutely rifles it home past Onana. Beats 2 or 3. And then it's a great finish off the upright. Kadioglu with his first of the year. Crystal Palace lead inside 5 minutes. Wow, what a fast start from Crystal Palace. Literally first attack of the game, down the wings and in behind, and Kadioglu had the finish as well. And here we come again, it might be 2. Mateus Cunha, it should have been 2. And Onana makes the stop. It will be Cunha who comes across to take the corner, looking for Mateta. Headed away only as far as Kadioglu, who keeps it alive. Looking for Mateta in the middle. What a brilliant header. And Manchester United all at sea here at Selhurst Park. Mateta with his first goal for a few games in the Premier League, extending our lead to 2. Cunha does well, picks up the loose ball after the corner. It's a brilliant little diving header from Mateta. Onana kind of loses his bearings. But Crystal Palace, quarter of an hour into the game here, find themselves 2 goals up against United. Man United all over the place here, as Pacho just about keeps hold of it. It's a poor giveaway though into Højlund, and now Fernandes, and Ramsdale has to tip it over the top. Manchester United with a lot of work to do. Sancho on the spin, back to Greenwood, and Sancho and Højlund. What a huge save by Ramsdale. And he gathers the loose ball as well. Frantic opening half an hour here at Selhurst. All Manchester United pressure here. Hakimi fires it into Greenwood. Danger. Ramsdale comes out and makes the stop again. Well, there's the whistle here at Selhurst Park, and the second half a lot quieter than the first. Aaron Ramsdale made 2 or 3 big saves in that first 45 to stop United getting back into the game. But they put themselves in a hole in the opening 15 minutes, a hole that they couldn't climb out of. Palace hold on for all 3 points, remaining unbeaten to kick off the campaign and looking ever stronger. Well, jumping into our next game, 10 wins from our opening at 12 in the Premier League, but a really tough fixture here against Nottingham Forest, who find themselves just outside the Champions League places in 6th. 6 wins from their opening 12 and the joint second best defence in the league. Really tough fixture, and with Barcelona to come in midweek, a really tough team selection. Looking to continue our unbeaten streak and extend our gap at the top. Come on, you Eagles. Well, it is a really good Nottingham Forest side. It's not quite as good as the team we had in the Glory Hunter save at the end of FIFA 23, but oh, what a touch, Matthias Sule. Sule! Oh, it's just wide. Nori flies into the tackle. Love that. Nori gets it back from his former Wolves colleague. Wharton goes up. Sule on the spin. Wharton has it again. Cunha into Wharton. And round the corner for Matthias Sule. Big save. Flag stayed down. And Vlachodimos, for the second time, denies Matthias Sule. He's getting closer, the Argentine, but still can't find that breakthrough. Here's Mateta into Cunha on the spin, losing out. And that is going to do it for the first half. Still deadlocked at 0-0 here at the City Ground. Yeah, I mean, I would quite like to get the likes of Matthias Sule and potentially Matheus Cunha and Wharton off if we can, but whilst we're still deadlocked, we've got to just focus on the task at hand. Can't be thinking about Wednesday night against Barcelona as Lerma fires that effort in. And I think somebody stayed down in the middle there. I'm not too sure who it was. Matthias Sule down the right. Mangala sticking with him. Sule comes in field. Sule looks to bend one again. Vlachodimos gets down. And we just cannot find a way past this man today. Sule to swing the corner in, looking for Mateta, and it's Vlachodimos once again. Are we ever going to find a way past him? Cunha from the other side into Richards, and that'll drop behind for the goal kick, and now he hits the deck. Well, that is going to do it here at the City Ground, and we just couldn't find a way past Vlachodimos today, the Greek god for Nottingham Forest, and a number of important saves. We just could not find a way through him. Created some decent openings, but denied by the Greek shot stopper every time. Forest hold on for a credible point against the league leaders, and that gives Manchester City and Arsenal a chance to close the gap at the top of the Premier League. Well, as Arsenal and Man City do win to close the gap, you can see how tight it's getting at the top of the Premier League and how quickly things can change. Thankfully, the injuries to Richards and Tomori, both just 5-day bruises, so they will both miss our trip to Barcelona but won't be out for a long time. So heading into this next game, Champions League group stage, very, very closely contested, as is the Premier League. The toughest of our remaining 2 fixtures away in Barcelona, where again I would take a point against the European giants. Huge clash. Come on, you Eagles. Yes, no doubt this is our trickiest fixture in the group stage. We've managed to get through the first 20 minutes untested, really, but no Fikayo Tomori, of course, went down at the end of our 0-0 draw with Nottingham Forest in the previous game. And 2 0-0 draws so far today. We've barely had any throughout the course of the save, and we've had 3 in the last 2 and a bit episodes. Well, last 2 episodes. 0-0 with Man City, and then the 0-0 against Wolfsburg, followed up by the 0-0 against Nottingham Forest. But it's not going to be 0-0 here tonight in Spain. Eddie Nketiah with an absolute rocket past ter Stegen. Well, what a goal from Eddie the Eagle. And we've not really been tested so far here in Spain by the home side. We've had pretty comfortable possession, and that finish by Nketiah was absolutely magnificent. I was looking to bend it into the far corner and saw from the defender's positioning that he was probably going to get in the way. So instead looked to bend it in at the near post. That's exactly what we did with Eddie. Took ter Stegen by surprise. This time Sule looking to bend one across goal. Ter Stegen nowhere near it. Well, as we approach the hour mark here, still we lead by 1. And with Barcelona heading into this game, leading the group on top spot, with the result as it is here, and well, we have no idea what the result is between Slavia, Prague and Wolfsburg, but potentially Barcelona could be dropping to 3rd in the group heading into match day 6, due really to the fact that Slavia Prague have surprised everyone and have been fantastic in the opening stages. And that is going to do it here in Barcelona. Crystal Palace holding on for another memorable win in the Champions League. This one slightly better than our first at home against Wolfsburg, taking on the mighty European giants Barcelona in their own backyard and beating them by 1-0 thanks to Eddie Nketiah. His goal in the first half, the difference between the 2 sides, and that could potentially put us in pole position for qualification to the last 16. Huge win here in Spain. Well, as we take a look what that does for the group, what a campaign from Slavia Prague, currently top of the group heading into match day 6. 10 points on the board, and Barcelona in real trouble of not progressing through to the last 16. But our attention returns to the Premier League, where we've got a triple header of London derbies. Starting with a double header of West London fixtures as we host Chelsea at Selhurst Park, followed by a trip to Craven Cottage to take on Marco Silva's Fulham side, before ending our triple header with a trip to the London Stadium to take on current league leaders West Ham United. Some big games coming up before that final group stage game in the Champions League. Let's dive straight into our first, Chelsea at home. Come on, you Eagles. Yeah, really difficult season for Chelsea once again in the save. I think they're languishing down in 13th place at the moment, so another really tricky campaign for them. As for Crystal Palace, a win here will see us return to the top of the Premier League. And as Cunha's shot is blocked, and Mateta, oh, it's poor goalkeeping. I think Robert Sanchez should have got something on it. But Jean-Philippe Mateta with another goal in the Premier League, leading marksman this season, going for that golden boot and firing us into the lead here. Oh, Jackson, great run. Still Jackson, gets the shot away. Coman goes short to his French colleague, Christopher Nkunku. In behind Mark Guehi, still Nkunku, back to Coman, another big save by Ramsdale. A couple of big saves from Aaron Ramsdale there to keep us leading by 1. I've mentioned before, but Chelsea seem to be one of those sides in career mode that just always seem to do really poorly. They've got, oh, that's a goal. That's a great finish by Nkunku. They've got all this great young talent, but in career mode, they always seem to sell everyone, never really do much. And we've got a fantastic record against them in this save, I think, and I'm not sure, but I think we've only lost against them once. Gutierrez, oh, look at the space opening up. Miguel Gutierrez Fantastic stop by Aaron Ramsdale. Not happy with his defenders, and I'm not surprised. Just opened up for the Spaniard, and he ran through everyone. Corners whipped in. Jackson winning the header, and Aaron Ramsdale denying him again. Crystal Palace holding on a little bit here. Well, we've managed to weather the Chelsea storm, and just looking to see this out 1-1 here, unless we can create a last chance to try and win this. Lerma out to Ferdi Kadioglu, back into Lerma. Ball finds Mateta, and I see you out wide, Kadioglu. This is a nice build-up. Kadioglu swings the cross in for Cunha, and we will create one final chance. It's a lovely, patient build-up from Crystal Palace. And Matheus Cunha, who hasn't scratched for quite a while, gets back on the score sheet. He's been a bit of a streaky scorer for us. And Crystal Palace restore the lead with under 10 to play. Well, that is going to do it here at Selhurst Park. And Crystal Palace do hold on for all 3 points. We were under the cosh a bit in that second half, but Chelsea weren't able to find a way through Aaron Ramsdale. And we won it late on through the Brazilian Matheus Cunha. That's what champions do, win when they're not at their best. And Crystal Palace still a long way to go, but will be returning to the top of the Premier League. Right, jumping straight on into our next one. We have returned to the top of the Premier League, although it is very, very tight at the top. Travelling to West London today to take on Marco Silva's Fulham side, who sit just outside the relegation zone with just 2 wins in their opening 14 games. Looking for another 3 points on the board here. Come on, you Eagles. Yeah, midweek clash here in West London. Looking to continue what's already been a fantastic start to the season. But saying that, we know how quickly things can change in the Premier League, especially in FC 24 with the way form is. We want to keep that unbeaten streak going for as long as we can. Only 4 goals conceded in the Premier League. Make that 5. And we're going to have to come from behind if we're to keep the unbeaten streak alive. Marco Silva's side struggling for points, but off to a fantastic start here. Milan's just gone down straight from kickoff as well. Been quite lucky with injuries this season, but he's gingerly getting back to his feet. I think it's going to be slightly more than a 5-day bruise. That could well be a broken toe. But yeah, talk about curse of the commentator. Just as I was saying, only 4 goals conceded. We then go and concede straight away. But second game in a row we've conceded after only conceding, as I say, 4 goals in the Premier League before today. That's nice from Freuler and Cunha and Whittaker. Let's fly, and it's turned away. Mikalenko on the overlap. The former Toffee swings across in towards Decordova-Reid. Freuler does well, and that's a lovely little ball into Matheus Cunha. Go left, Mateta. Go left, Mateta. There we go. Through he goes. Can he finish? Of course he can. Jean-Philippe Mateta, wearing the armband today, gets Palace back on level terms in West London. Well, into the last few moments here, and it looks as if we're set for the draw. Unless Fulham can win it late on. And Babu, space for him to drive into, and Decordova-Reid in acres of room. And then Babu, and that's great defending by Lerma. And Ramsdale will secure the loose ball. Could have lost it at the end there. And Fulham, to be fair to them, hold on for a credible 1-1 draw. We've not dropped many points this season, but Fulham added to the list of teams who have taken points off us. Tricky midweek test away at the Cottage, and we couldn't pass it. Points dropped in the title race, although we do still remain unbeaten. Right then, just keeping the games rolling. Arsenal and Manchester City starting to emerge through the crowd. West Ham slipping up and falling down the table, and that is who we will face next. The Hammers coming to take us on at Selhurst Park as we look to remain unbeaten and keep the chasing pack at bay. Tough game here against the Hammers. Come on, you Eagles. Babadi, it's on the turn. Now Kudus. Oh, lovely from Mohamed Kudus. And again, Crystal Palace falling behind in the Premier League. Been a really, really poor run of form recently. Struggling to pick up consistent victories as we were at the beginning of the season. Scraping through with a point here and there. But this sort of form is not good enough, and that first defeat of the season is going to come soon if we continue to play like this. Well, all teams do have patches of form where they struggle, even the best of teams. You look at Manchester City in real life in the Premier League. How many times do we see them start slow in the Premier League and then absolutely turn it on towards the end of the season? It's become a bit of a commodity with Manchester City, and Palace are in that struggling patch of form right now and trying to find a way out of it as Matheus Cunha with an absolute worldie. Well, we're relying on him pretty heavily at the moment, and he continues to perform. Another big goal to get us back on level terms here. Alvarez for West Ham spreads it out wide to Mohamed Kudus. Look at the space. JWP into the middle. That's a great block by Tomori. It's loose and Goodmanson turns in from close range. Crystal Palace failing to clear their lines, and we worked so hard to get back on level terms. To concede another cheap goal, and West Ham are back in front. A couple of changes for us here, trying to find a way back into the game. Kadioglu, brilliant run. Kamada straight off the bench and onto the score sheet. What an impact from Daichi, playing him slightly deeper where we got a lot out of him last year. And instantly, he gets us back on level terms. Now with 12 to play, can we find a winner? Or are we set for another draw in the Premier League? Can we win this late? Haji Wright does well. Daichi back into right. And Mateta on the move. Mateta comes inside. It'll fall for Haji Wright, and it's wide. Oh, that's a big opportunity for the American, and he should really have buried it. Cuts across it, sends it wide, and it looks as if we are set for another draw in the Premier League. Yeah, and there is the whistle. Couldn't find a late winner despite pushing, and that means it's 3 draws in our last 4 games in the Premier League. Just starting to stumble a little bit, and as I say, inviting Arsenal and Manchester City back into that title race as we approach the halfway stage. Another game where we drop points as West Ham come to South London and claim a point. Really disappointing run of form before this crunch match in the Champions League against Slavia Prague. Right then, it is crunch time in the Champions League as we take on Slavia Prague at Selhurst Park. You'd expect Barcelona to beat Wolfsburg away in Germany, who have absolutely nothing to play for. So a draw will make things very, very interesting. We know that a win will see us through, so that's exactly what I'm looking for tonight. Huge game under the lights at Selhurst Park. Come on, you Eagles. I'm expecting a really tough game, and with Barcelona also looking to progress, there's a lot on the line here as Wolfsburg were a goal up, but now pegged back to 1-1. The goal updates in FC are so broken as Nketiah flicks onto Matheus Cunha. Great run of form for the Brazilian, and he's done it again. Fantastic season so far for Matheus Cunha, and he's in fine form at the moment, notching up another goal here to give us the lead. Perfect start here in South London. Back to Jorginho, now Eddie again. And there's Jefferson Lerma wearing the armband today. Scored some big goals in Europe last year in our run in the Europa League. And it's a good save by Stanek in the Slavia Prague goal. Cunha's ball in, looking for Lacroix. And it's a brilliant header by the former Wolfsburg man. And that might be enough to send Crystal Palace through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. Just over half an hour to play, and hoping that we can hold on to our 2-goal lead here tonight. It's nicely worked though, and right on cue, Slavia Prague back in the game. Well, there is the whistle, despite the consolation from Slavia Prague. That's all it was in the end, a consolation goal. Their fate will depend on the result of the Wolfsburg against Barcelona clash. At half-time, Wolfsburg were holding the Spaniards to a 1-1 draw, but Slavia Prague will have to wait for news from Germany to see whether they will be progressing. But as for Crystal Palace, that win does secure it through to the knockout stages of the Champions League in our first year in the competition. Well, as we return to the menus here, you'll see it there, Crystal Palace topping Group G, and it is Slavia Prague who join us in the knockouts, with Barcelona dropping into the Europa League after being held to a 1-1 draw away in Germany against Wolfsburg. But we'll find out who it is we will face in the last 16 straight away, where Crystal Palace will be taking on... Ooh, big clash. Juventus in the last 16. Of course, we used them in our first save of FC24 after we moved on from Sheffield United. We'll now be returning to our former club. First leg away at the Allianz Stadium before returning to Selhurst Park. Some big clashes in there as Slavia Prague take on Marseille, arguably an easier draw despite finishing in second place. But anyway, diving into our next game, we'll play two more today. Final league game of the episode as we take on Luton away from home at Kenilworth Road. They sit just outside the relegation zone, so we know these games are quite often the hardest, but after quite a few draws, I think 3 in our last 4 in the Premier League, Crystal Palace are desperate to get back to winning ways. Important game here away in Luton. Come on, you Eagles. Terrible 45 minutes here at Kenilworth Road. Neither keeper really being forced into a save. And so far going forward, we've just been so poor over the recent games. And we've just been nowhere near as free scoring and free flowing as we were at the beginning of the season. I said it, that, you know, every team goes into a poor run of form. That's nice from Matthias Sule. Oh, that is so lucky. Look to bend it into the far corner, and it takes a nick and flies in past Kaminski at the near post. Late corner for Luton here. Last chance of the game as Hashioka swings the corner in. It's flicked on, and Ramsdale tips it over the top, and the referee won't allow Luton to take the second set piece. Really poor game here at Kenilworth Road, and it just goes to show how bad of a run Palace are on, where the goal that wins it for us is a deflected goal that nicks in at the near post, giving Kaminski no chance. Really poor game. We grind out a narrow 1-0 victory. Right then, yeah, definitely going to end on this Carabao Cup quarter-final away at Goodison. Of course, explained early on in the episode the reason that we're now facing Everton and not Man City. Apologies for that. Nothing I can do to restore the save. But jumping into it nonetheless, a much rotated side as always in the Carabao Cup. So I won't be too disappointed if we do fall to defeat here. And on the form we've been on, I wouldn't be too surprised if we do. Still looking to make the semi-finals. Come on, you Eagles. But I would like to make it to the semis. We've not reached a domestic cup final since season 1, of course, when we faced Aston Villa, as Milan lets fly early and is denied by the keeper. Yeah, faced Aston Villa, of course, at Wembley in the FA Cup final. We've never really done too well in this competition here, as I generally don't take it too seriously. Is Beto for Everton, looking to get into the penalty area. Andre Gomez back to Beto, and that's a good save by Freddie Woodman at the near post. First time Everton have really threatened, and Woodman is equal to the strike from Beto. But as that's flicked on, what a fantastic header that is. And Everton take the lead 7 minutes before the break. Nothing Woodman could do with that, as he had absolutely no chance with the trajectory of that ball. And thus far, we've just not been able to create a clear opening. Hadji Wright again, nice skill, finds Freuler, back into Hadji Wright, and Freuler again, and Freuler returns it to Hadji Wright. That's a fantastic stop, and the Everton goalkeeper pounces on the loose ball as well, and that might be our one opportunity that we get in this second half to claim a point. It's a fantastic stop, and Everton look to hold on to their 1-goal lead to take them through to the final 4 as Morgan Whittaker bends one. And again, Bedfian is behind it for Everton. Well, there is the whistle here at Goodison Park, and it's our first defeat of the campaign. And, well, it's been coming over recent weeks. Crystal Palace not playing particularly well, and stumbling to a couple of draws in the Premier League. Now we taste our first defeat thanks to Rodri's goal in the first half, looping header over Freddie Woodman. Our progress in the Carabao Cup ends at the quarter-final stage once again, and we taste defeat for the first time this campaign. Well, that is where we will end today's episode then, guys. Disappointing to taste defeat for the first time, but I'm not too disappointed to be knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Still sitting at top of the Premier League table as well. No defeats in our opening 17 as we approach the halfway stage, but the gap to Arsenal and West Ham below us, just 2 points now, so we are well and truly in a title race this season. We'll return in the next episode as we head into the new calendar year and into the January transfer window. I don't think there'll be too much movement from us, but there may be a couple of outgoings, so we'll see what happens when January does come around. But lots of big games to come as we enter the middle stage of the campaign. I'll catch you for it very soon, guys, and peace.